I didn't know Gareth, and he came into Chelsea with Andre, funnily enough, when Andre was the coach. And we met and we spoke a little bit, and I was explaining to him the coaching session because he'd come to watch. And then he came to see me not long afterwards and asked me whether I'd be interested in taking one game for the under-21s with him, which was his first game with the under-21s. And Jose by then was the head coach, and Jose very kindly, didn't stand in my way. At Chelsea, during international break, there are no players because all the players are internationals. So for me to miss 10 days during international break was nothing, really. We only ever had 2 or 3 players left, if that. So a good opportunity to go and experience something different. And of course, to know some of the better English young players as well. So I could see that from the club's perspective. We won the game. After the game, Gareth asked if I would be interested in doing the role more, with more consistency and across the season. Again, Jose was kind enough to allow me to do that, and that's really how it started. We did 3 years, I think, and then out of the blue, really, the opportunity arose to go with the senior team. We had 3 days prep before we were into 2 qualifiers, and another chapter was to begin off the back of that. When we got the opportunity to take the job, we needed to win a couple of games and see. And we won a couple of games and got the opportunity to do that for longer. During qualification, we went to Malta, and qualification we were navigating fairly straightforward in that I don't think the team was exciting, but we were winning the matches and qualification looked like it was going to be achieved. And we went to Malta, and that was really when it struck me for the first time. The coach was pulling into the hotel, and there was a lot of England fans outside bars on our way driving through, and they were giving dogs abuse to the team. And this is before the game, not after the game. So there was a real disconnect with the England fan and the team. I think it's just something that had evolved over a period of time, frankly. And that was really the part of the challenge. I mean, it's something that I think Gareth has handled magnificently. Is that the guys do want to come, they do want to play for England, and they do want to give the English people a team that they can be proud of. And those messages slowly have started to come through. I think certainly that was the case with the World Cup in Russia. The team felt, the nation felt, that they actually quite liked the players. Add to that, I think that we evolved the way of playing from qualification in the finals. We didn't like the 4-2-3-1 that we'd used in qualification. The team was stodgy. It was solid, and we always had a threat, but the football was stodgy. And neither of us really had ever wanted that type of football in my career or Gareth's career as a coach, as a player. Certainly with the 21s, we tried to play a different way to that, which is where we came up. We went to the Confederations Cup in Russia the year before the World Cup. We did a lot of miles in the air, looking at potential training sites, watching teams. Portugal were there, Germany were there. So trying to get to grips with the nation, because the country is so vast, and also analysing teams. And it was really there that we decided that we felt a back three was going to give us a better chance of keeping clean sheets, but also a basis of a way of playing with the players we had. 3 midfield players we felt was going to be better than 2, because we'd been playing with 2 in qualification, and that hadn't looked right. 3 brings in a Dele or a Lingard. 2 is hard to play Dele or Lingard in a 2. They become wingers then. So we were trying to find ways of getting our most talented players on the pitch in a way that gave them their best chance of showing what obvious qualities they had, whilst also giving us a chance of being stable without the ball. So that's really where that came from, the 3-5-2, with Raheem playing behind Harry, which is what you saw in the World Cup, really. We had fantastic quality at wing-back, and we played the wing-backs very high, so Trippier and Ashley Young. Danny Rose sometimes on the left. And then Harry as a reference with really, I mean, we had Jesse, we had Dele, we had Raheem all playing fairly free, in behind that structure of 2 wing-backs wide and Harry as a reference. Behind that, some stability in midfield with Jordan, and then 3 central defenders, all of which really could come out with the ball. Harry Maguire, we really picked ahead of 1 or 2 others that were playing at bigger clubs, frankly. So now Harry Maguire playing for England, everyone's got their head around that. But at the time, that was a big call. But his comfort on the ball was fundamental in that. John Stones, we all know, can play. And then the final part of that was Walker playing in a back 3, which wasn't too dissimilar to Azpilicueta playing in Antonio's back 3. And frankly, very similar to what Pep had been asking him to do with his club anyway. I think with Liverpool, the fullbacks, they maraud forwards. With Manchester City, more positional. It's more the wingers and the number 8s that maraud forwards. So we felt that what we were asking him to do for us wasn't really dissimilar to what he was doing with his club, which is really fundamental with all of those decisions, because what hadn't happened in Iceland, against Iceland, was, or what had happened was, under the pressure, the players had fallen apart a little bit. I think that's fair to say. None of them played close enough to their level. We felt that to get that back under the pressure, that we needed to create a situation where the habits that they had would be strong and they'd have comfort with. And because normally under pressure, you will resort to type, and whatever your habits are, that's where you'll head. And we felt that if we trained this enough and played this enough, that the habits would be strong enough when the pressure came, which was, again, a large part of trying to get round pegs in round holes. Through the group stage, I mean, I can't say enough really how the importance of that second goal against Tunisia, because if you win the first game, you breathe up immediately, and you know that if you can get a result in the second game, you're done. If you don't win the first game, the pressure then goes to the second game. So that was fundamental, really, in terms of the comfort of the performances and no drama with the fans. You could see the momentum growing. There was no doubt. We were several goals up at half-time against Panama, and after 1.5 games, we're through. The third game, then, it allowed us to change some players, which at the time got a bit of criticism, which is understandable. But in actual fact, there's no doubt that helped in terms of the progression of the team beyond then. The Colombia game really was the decisive one in 2 ways. One, if we were to win that game, it would be the first time we'd won a qualifying game for God knows how long. So that would have broken that barrier. And the second barrier, of course, that we broke that night was the penalties barrier, which was, again, a huge, I think, mental step. You could see from that moment onwards, really, that it was less a case of what might go wrong, and more a case of, okay, now what can we do? A different mental feeling of confidence. The Sweden game, historically, a game that England had always suffered against Sweden. Our record in major tournaments and qualification was a disaster against Sweden. This is a team that historically always make it really difficult. And we were really about as comfortable as you can be in a quarter-final of the World Cup, which that gets underplayed a little bit, really. Many people would put Sweden in a lower category of club and dismiss that as being a game we should win, but that hadn't been the case historically. So the players deserve credit for that. They made a difficult game, relatively straightforward, which was a credit really to the way they played. I think every game I've ever been involved with where we haven't won with any team, you always reflect afterwards on, there's always something that if you'd have done it might have made the outcome different. Always something in every game. And we reflected afterwards, we made some observations, and they will remain private, but always after every game, I think it's to improve and to get better and to gain experience is important, that you don't just shelve the game and move on to the next. It's we did analyse it. We have have our own views on, in that situation again, would we do certain things differently? And I think that's part of the process, frankly. Prior to the World Cup, I'd seen England in 2 semi-finals in my life, Euro 96 and Italia 90. So we think we're a great football nation, and frankly, we are in a way, but 2 semi-finals in 50 years doesn't really reflect a great football nation, let's be honest. Not when you balance that with what Germany have achieved and the fact that nations like Denmark and Greece, I think, have won European championships. So immense pride on reaching a semi-final. And then, of course, in the summer with the Nations League, we managed to reach another semi-final. So it was 2, it's now 4. So that's good. But of course, when you're so close, you suffer, it hurts. And the next day at the training ground, I mean, we had a fantastic facility and in St. Petersburg with its own grounds, and really we were always in our own grounds. But that day I had to get out and just have a little bit of time to myself, frankly. It was the disappointment was immense, balanced with the pride of getting there. But when you get so close, it hurts. And I've got to say my experience of life at Chelsea really has taught me that it is about winning. It's about winning, and that winning mentality doesn't include feeling sorry for yourself or making excuses. That winning mentality means you analyse and then push to do better next time, which is of course what we're trying to do. I think what we all want to do, all of us involved with the team, is give the nation those moments of happiness that were evident during the World Cup in Russia. We weren't at home to enjoy them. We were a long way away in the middle of a forest somewhere. But we'd get back from the game against Sweden, for example, at 5 a.m. There was some food put out for us in the restaurant area in the hotel we were staying in. And on the big screen, there was, I think BBC were running sports news, and they were going from Newcastle to Carlisle to Southampton to Liverpool and these images of English people watching the screens out in the sunshine, celebrating the moments. It's a humbling experience to feel that you're part of something that can give that, and those moments were incredible for us all to see, really, players and staff. And the challenge is to try and do that again in the summer and take that even one step further, which would be the first final England will have played in my lifetime anyway.